I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite podcast on the Citadel. Okay, so Mass Effect 3 kicks off, as we already talked about, and your Shepard is oh, I can't do that.
I've been playing. I'm slowly. I'm like, so that piece has 3 pages.
Ugh.
I'm learning to play it on the piano, and I can almost play the first page without like really royally screwing it up. I know. The last page is like you know what it sounds like. It's just a cacophony. I'm like, I don't have that many hands. I can't do that. Anyway,
it's the soundtrack. Real quick. The soundtrack for this game is it's very rarely like in your face music. But it is so it enhances every moment with just while still being largely kind of like beneath the surface.
So good.
We talked about the suicide mission with just that constant little like beat to it of like of just keeping it helps keep the intensity up. It's not like something that's a grand thing an orchestra is going to play, but it still it does the job very well.
Very, very well.
All right.
I don't know who's behind it, but kudos to you, composer.
Sam Hulick, at least in the first game. I don't know if it changed across the trilogy. And then the wonderful credit music in Mass Effect 1. That song.
I don't know if I'd have to look it up.
That was a sarcastic wonderful.
Oh,
it's interesting though. It might be worth a listen to. It's strange.
Roger.
Roger. All right, so we start off Mass Effect 3. It's got a beautiful 3-note piano theme that just makes me burst into tears every time I hear it now. And Shepard is essentially is in like basically house arrest. Shepard has been court-martialed. I presume in your game it was because you had associated with Cerberus.
I think so. I think that was the vague hand-wavy reason they gave me.
Mine was obviously because I had killed a crap ton of Batarians.
At least he didn't die this time.
What's that?
I said at least we didn't die this time, like in the beginning of 2.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're just disgraced. I will say one of my most hated moments in the series is like when Anderson comes and gets you, and you're walking along, and he like taps your belly, and it was like, you've gotten soft over the last 6 months, and I was like, excuse you, sir, I did not give you permission to touch me.
I know.
No.
Also, you're still ripped and hard bodied.
Yeah, it's like, what are you talking about?
Exactly. I shaved my head.
I looked pretty much identical to myself in 2.
It was time to get serious. The Reapers are here. I had to shave my hair.
Fair enough. And they show up immediately. Like it's
Boom.
like, we lost the station. Oh crap, the Reapers are at Earth, and I have no idea why the fleet did not give us any warning at all. And now you're running in a mad dash to basically get on the Normandy and get off Earth. And then it becomes
big mistake,
a game of,
I think. Enormous mistake, because I feel like they have to bend over backwards to explain why the whole point of the entire game is to, you're fighting the Reapers, but specifically so you can save Earth.
Yep.
Except
you lose Earth right off the back.
Right. Like at best, this is taking weeks of time, but probably months. Like none of this can happen over the course of just days. And the Reapers have shown that they have a force strong enough to just, like, I think at some point they're like, oh, it takes a long time to harvest us. I'm like, I don't know.
They're like, we realized if we left the population centers, we could, like, stay hidden. And I was like, all right, but, I mean.
And they, like, literally go underground. And but the whole thing just seems a little, like, too, like, we got to make the stakes high. But we've never been to Earth. Yeah, I live on Earth. But, like, I live in Florida.
I'm a colonist. I didn't live on Earth.
Right.
Oh.
But like there's no stakes in game. Like this doesn't mean anything to me. We've never seen Earth as it is in this game. And so like what's mistake number one.
Yeah, I think it, we all knew the Reapers were coming. Obviously, you get that little like the Reapers are closing in on the Milky Way, and when they all come awake there at the very end of Mass Effect 2. So we know they're coming. For it just, and it feels so sudden. It's just like, and they're at Earth, and you're like, what? I mean, I got it. We got Mass Effects and faster than light travel, but like, I feel like we should have been said. Like, I should have been like, they're almost here. Shepard, things have gotten desperate. Get out there and like unite the galaxy because they're going to be here soon.
Right.
And instead it was like, they're here, run away and, unite the galaxy. But also, if you want to do some side missions and bang some aliens, I guess that's fine too.
Have a party at your banging new hotel.
At my apartment. my amazing apartment. Good Lord, apartment that's bigger than my house. So, but we get out and it's, I mean, you kind of pick up where, in a lot of ways, where you left off at 2, except, and this bugged me, was essentially with the exception of a few small story segments, none of the new party members from Mass Effect 2 rejoin your party in 3.
Correct. Mordin has a big chunk of screen time.
Yep.
And so does Legion. And then Tali and Garrus are in your party again. They're the only people who are in your party all 3 games.
Yep.
And then you get a couple newbies. Well, Liara comes back. You get really just one newbie, and then a DLC newbie. But yeah, it's just the whole thing's like with 2. They again, aside from Garrus and Tali, but they're only 2 of like 14, and so it doesn't seem like that big a deal. With the exception of those 2, everybody's new. They just a clean slate. Maybe some reference to other people, but in this one, it just feels weird, especially if other people could have. And maybe it's because they felt like they boxed themselves in with the fact that people could have died, and so they could they had to be really careful about who they put in your party and how in what capacity they showed up.
And you can tell because they give you Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, I've got a soldier, and then they give you Edie because Edie's now decides pretty early in the game. I love
Edie. I love Edie so much.
And so she's your engineer, and then you get Liara back, so you get your biotic. So like, they give you one of basically one of each archetype, the game's archetype of characters.
Yeah.
That you're guaranteed to have. But then on top of that, like you said, you get Garrus and Tali back, and then you get Javik. As the DLC character. Right. But yeah, it was just it just felt so weird to like I had this massive group of party members who were, I mean, the entire point of the second game was gaining their loyalty, who are super loyal to me, and none of them are like, yeah, Shepard, I'll come help you.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense, like narratively, like I get it. You've been off doing something for 6 months, and you guys were a crew, not like you're not all part of the military, and so they're all doing their own thing, and they're busy doing their own thing, and they don't have time necessarily to drop what that was, and you help them, and it's fun, but I don't know how they could have done it. I don't, but I wish they could have.
Yeah, I think we're gonna have that line several more times before this conversation is over.
Yeah.
I will say, as opposed to 2, where I felt narratively out of sync, with my Shepard, very much felt in sync with my Shepard throughout this entire game.
We were back in business, joining the Alliance again, Captain.
You're head of Normandy. You're back in the Alliance. I don't know if it's my the military that I'm in the military, but there was a lot more saluting and kind of military-ish, and I was like, all right, yeah.
I noticed it.
Shepard's
I felt
where she belongs.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed that. I played my Shepard in this one. She was definitely like depressed at the beginning of this game.
Interesting.
Because she'd come off, she'd killed really with no choice, but she still felt bad doing it. She killed all those Batarians, and then the crew, which basically my Shepard, especially being a colonist with no family, the crew is all her crew is scattered, so her support network's gone, and then she's basically being court-martialed. So like my Shepard, and then to basically like, oh, I might be starting. Nope, Earth is lost. Like my Shepard was basically like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, but she had no faith that they were gonna be able to do this. She, my Shepard was convinced in the beginning this was a lost fight.
Interesting.
It was fun because over the course of the game, my Shepard, and it largely kind of in part because of her relationship with Liara, because I did end up romancing Liara in this one. My Shepard was slowly built herself back up and was like, no, we can do this by the end.
Very cool.
So, long way of saying I very much enjoyed role-playing my Shepard. Probably of all 3 games, I most enjoyed playing my Shepard in this game.
How did the Reapers get to the Milky Way? Because wasn't the whole point of 2 to stop their new... Like, they had a new... First, it was going to be Sovereign, and we killed Sovereign. That was he was their harbinger. because there was an actual Harbinger, and he was using the collectors, as they always have apparently, to
build a new Reaper. Because the whole thing is the Citadel is a like supermass relay that goes out to dark space to presumably another Citadel looking thing that all the Reapers are hanging out around.
Right.
So they were going to build a new Reaper in the galaxy to send, presumably to attempt to activate the Citadel once again.
Yeah.
And then I guess when that didn't work, they're just like, all right,
they just showed up anyway. Like, what was the point of any of it?
And they just started, I guess, driving towards the galaxy through deep space.
They could have just done it's dumb. Mistake number 2. Mistake number 2.
It was.
We're at 2.
Again,
keeping track.
I don't know if you needed to keep track. I don't know if you needed to show the entirety of the Reapers. I think it would have been just as amazing to have found some permanent solution that would have stopped us from ever even seeing all of the Reapers.
Yeah, like if it had just been a handful of them, and they were as powerful as we already knew them to be, they'd still have been quite a handful. I think the pacing would have made more sense.
Yeah,
and everything
that's
we
do. Too, is it's like there are hundreds of Reapers, and you're like, well, wait a second here. Like Sovereign with the support of a Geth fleet was basically enough to fight several of the galaxy's fleets.
Mm-hmm.
And now there are hundreds of these Reapers, if not thousands of these Reapers. And you're like, there's no, like I know they say throughout the game, like there's no way we can win a conventional war, but like it's not even a matter of that. You would have all gotten wiped out in like days.
Yep.
But we don't, and it's always a little that's a problem that kind of sat in the back of my mind through this game. There's this dissonance of like we shouldn't even be like. We shouldn't even have the time to have a chance. This should have just been. They should have showed up, and we would have been like, "Oh, yeah, we're boned," and that should have been the end of it.
Yeah, I think. I guess the only thing that we might be the one thing we're probably underestimating is just how large these fleets are, just how many ships they have, how many people they are.
Yeah,
and even though the Reaper force is overwhelming from a firepower standpoint, they might not be overwhelming from a numbers standpoint.
True.
So yeah, we spend the whole game. Liara finds these Prothean plans for this thing that ends up getting dubbed a Crucible, which we assume is a weapon. It's incomplete, and we have to figure out how to fix it. And so we're going to be hopping around looking for pieces to it, while also solving everybody's political squabbles.
Yeah, so solving the problems of the galaxies, so they'll all agree to come try to save Earth.
Mm-hmm. We get to go to a few places we've probably wanted to go the whole time. We get to go to the Turian home planet, which also gets kind of destroyed almost immediately, very similar to Earth, but it's cool to hang out with some Turians for a change in their home place. Still never see a girl Turian until some DLC, though. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
A bunch of mans.
We get to go to Thessia, the Asari home planet.
That was fun. Again, short-lived because, again, being ransacked by the Reapers. All very convenient that they let us go to these really cool places when there's nothing left to see.
We technically go to Surkesh, I think, but it's like a small little outpost. So we really don't get to see much of Surkesh.
Is that the Solarian? Yeah, no, it's very, very brief and very minimal.
It's really just a side stop on the way to go back to Tachanka to deal with the Genophage,
which was great.
And we do. Oh yeah. We'll finish this little tour up, but then I want to talk about Tachanka, and I also want to talk about the last planet we get to, Rannoch, the Quarian homeworld, because the mission outside of I can't remember what the Turian home planet's called. Starts with a P. Palaven.
Yeah.
On Palaven's moon, I think, is fun, and it's really the first story mission after Earth.
Yeah, it is.
And Thessia is impressive looking, and has some kind of cool implications with the fact that the gods of the Asari were actually the Protheans, as they were in the process of like bringing the Asari up. Those while they're good, they both pale into really getting to finish off major story threads that have gone through all three games, which is the Krogan Genophage and the Quarian Geth
conflict
conflict. And so let's talk about those.
Sure.
How do you feel about the Genophage?
Like I said earlier, I was gung ho about fixing it, and now that we quickly learned that Morden is back on the side of fixing it. He realizes he made a mistake, and he's got a female Urdnot Krogan, and he's figured out how to create a cure via the work that his assistant, unethically performed on her, but of her own free will at the same time.
Yep.
In the previous game, and so he's been like keeping her secret, like he's been keeping her hiding or something like that, right? I can't remember like the impetus for this. How does it get kicked off?
The Solarians had gone in and they'd gotten all of the females that Morden's assistant, and all but Eve died.
Right.
And so they realized he had made progress, and so they were keeping her because I think they were concerned that, we have found that the genophage can be cured. They were planning on experimenting her to figure out a way to stop that method from working, to basically to once again reinforce the genophage.
Mm-hmm.
And then Morden had gotten a job there and was sending messages to Rex and basically let Rex know that Eve was there.
That's right.
And so we go and have this mission with Rex.
But yeah,
Eve's interesting because even Rex, and Rex is about the most level-headed Krogan we ever meet in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Rex is still a warrior, grumpy Krogan.
Yeah, he's a hothead.
Yeah, and Eve is very much not so. It's a different side of Krogans than what we've seen before. I mean, she can definitely handle herself, but she's much more level-headed than we have been led to think of as Krogans.
Yeah, you never see or hear of the women except in the capacity of breeding and having more children, because it's the only chance that species has at survival, and so they're rightfully kept away. And so yeah, it's a bit cliche. The men are stupid and warmongering, and the women are level-headed. Matriarchs. At some point when things weren't as dire, they either had more equal standing or might have even been quote unquote like in charge. Of at least large chunks of Krogan society. Obviously, things have shifted, and survival is the only thing in the game, and they need to fight to do that in almost every way. But like you said, you don't really get to see her because she's covered up all Burqa style, which was an interesting choice. I was like, okay, all right. But yeah, she is strong. She shoots a shotgun off at some random, I don't know, like Reaper manufactured enemy at some point, which is really funny.
And she has, she definitely has a I take no crap attitude. Yeah, because she does that, and she was like, I do not need you to protect me, Rex.
But it's you get Morden back on the ship for a little bit. Eve's there too, and
Rex
their interactions are awesome.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, their kind of talks are very interesting.
Yeah, it's like they care about each other, and it's just really cute because like it's Morden is such a fascinating character because he is so cold in some respects, but at the same time he's like, no, sanctity of life most important, blah blah blah. And it's just like he's so, like I said, he's just complicated. It's like he really believed what he did was right, and like I'm sure other people would argue that it was, at least at the time, but like to see him come around and like risk his life, and eventually, if you so choose, and let him sacrifice himself to get the genophage cured by spreading the cure out of all of Tachanka. Because again, I don't see how I don't care how renegade you are, because it's one of those choices where it's like, I mean, yeah, you could do that just to see, but the choice is be a sneaky jerkbag to this guy that you probably made friends with because his government told you to. Not even your government, his government said. Because I guess they're holding hostage their fleet, which is formidable. It's the Solarian government. It's not some randos with a few ships. It's a lot of ships to help fight the Reapers. But I can't do it. And later on, my decision was also formed by I can't do it. I couldn't sacrifice. Like I betrayed my ruthless nature in this game. That is the main theme of my Shepard.
Ooh.
I was still hardlining a lot of stuff. Like I got mad at people, and I don't know if that's just the way they wrote the character, regardless of my choices. But I was a lot shorter. Like when the Primarch or whatever he's called, the Prime Minister, the head Turian, and Rex are fighting because they want the Krogans to come help fight on Palavan, but they won't until we cure the genophage, and they're butting heads because the Turians were the cause of the genophage along with the Solarians. At one point, my Shepard's just like, shut up, stop it. Like I'm in charge. We're gonna do things my way. But at the end of the day, I couldn't. I had to say yes to the Krogans, even if that meant saying no to the more forces, and then the choice I make at the very end of the game again, because I love Edie so much and like got to know that character, I made a certain choice that again, we'll talk about that later, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everything you said, and Morden's sacrifice, and his that line of his, had to be me. Someone else might have gotten it wrong.
He says it like a million times, but then it hits so well at the end there.
It's like, oh!
Apparently,
he's singing his little song, and
it's so good.
Did you get no? Because you romance Tali. If you don't romance anyone in 2, there's a point where you go and talk to him, and he's like he lets you, like, he thinks you're coming to try to flirt with him, and he lets you down gently. That's hilarious. It's like, Shepard, want to be honest with you. You're like, it's like lots of stress. Tend to allow in sexual interactions. I not into you that way. And you're like, what? No, that's not what I. It's like, it's okay. Like, we could still work together, professionals. You're like, all right, dude, thanks.
That's really good.
I think a couple of just my favorite set pieces. So there's a great line where Rex is like, Shepard, what's taking so long? And you're like, there's a Reaper in my way, Rex.
So
he was like, yeah, I know. You get to have all the fun.
This game has so much of that banter, like while combat is going on, like over comms or amongst people. There's a lot of it in Shadow Broker, and it's really funny. It's really good. You get to see these people be more than just soldiers for a change, even while they're still being soldiers. And it's all over 3, and it's one of my favorite additions.
And then watching Kalros, the mother of the what are they called?
They're not Krakens. I forget.
But destroy. Admittedly, a tiny Reaper, but destroy a Reaper, and you're like, all right, like so can we just do that to all of them? This seems like a solid plan, guys. I'm just saying. Was just it's awesome. You're like, okay, yeah, that's sweet.
All of Tachanka is great. You save her, like you said, on Serkesh. She's there, and you have to go pick her up, and she's on your ship for a while. And then eventually you go to Tachanka. There's like a side mission to save some Turians there too, if I'm not mistaken. And Tachanka's a mess. Like, you've already been there before in the second game, and but it's still like.
Well, yeah, they nuked themselves, and like the Reapers aren't even there for most most
Yeah, that's true. They just kind of show up.
They nuked themselves into like a base, before they were technologically advanced by the Solarians to fight the Rachni. They had nuked themselves into a radioactive winter or ice age, and so it's just destroyed. But we get to see some really cool, like, the culture that was lost. Yeah,
and like the temples and the stuff. Mother of the Threshers, that's what it's called.
Thresher Malls.
But yeah, just giant, huge Dune-style space worm comes out of the ground after you ring some bells. It's so, like, old school.
It's so perfect. I loved it.
And it's just like, what? And it's just like wraps it and drags it down into the earth. And then the thing's broken and it's going to explode or something, and you get the choice. And like, I've looked at the Paragon. Like, I wanted to see how it went, or the Renegade. And it's like, it's a series of conversations you can have with Morden. You can just let him go, or you can kind of try to stop him, but it won't. It's not like it's not a single binary choice. It's not like shoot Morden or whatever, because you can also not kill him but stop him, and then he just kind of goes into hiding. And but then you never hear of him. You don't get him as an asset, and then the Genophage isn't cured and all that stuff. But if you choose like the first or second Renegade option, like, you press him on it. It's like, what? Because like, you don't want him to die. It's more, and that's what it's more. It's like, I don't want to lose you. You're too important. Maybe we'll do this later or whatever. But for now, we need that fleet and we need you. And which I guess I do understand now. I said I didn't understand, but now I kind of understand it. But not knowing that those are going to be the options that you get. Anyway, like, Shepard presses Morden. It's like, what? You said this was the right choice. What happened? And he snaps. He loses his composure. He's like, I made a mistake. And it's like,
oh, wow.
And I wish that had been part of the default dialogue, because I'm tearing up right now.
Wow.
Like, he's like, go watch it. It's so good. But it's like to just have him like say it out loud, because he'd already mostly admitted it. But like, he's clearly upset with himself, and he needs to do this to make things right. He will die to make this happen. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, I have to go watch that, because I think there's a little bit like a Paragon, where you can be like Morden, there has to be another way, and that's what he's like. where you're trying to like, you're like,
Yeah.
nobody, like, don't sacrifice yourself. We'll figure something out. And that's when he has, now it has to be me. Someone else might screw it up line. But yeah, for him, because he's always like, no, Jenna, because he's pretty much always, genophage was right call at the time.
Right. Now it's time to fix it.
And now he's kind of, it's now it's wrong time to fix it. To have him be like, no, it was the wrong thing even then is, that's hefty.
Very.
That leads me before, and because Reinach will play with it too, but it is very nice with a couple exceptions. Even the characters from 2 all get nice send-offs in this game.
For sure.
Thane.
Thanes. We'll get there. But Thanes is so good.
Yeah, I mean, let's just go through some of them.
Sure.
I mean, there's a few that suck. Jacobs is kind of meh.
Oh, I did it last again, and it's so boring.
It's so boring.
I've got a wife now, or whatever.
Yeah,
I
good
couldn't
for you,
care
dude.
less,
Like,
man. Good for you. I got a wife too.
Jacobs, Zaid's is kind of boring. Kasumi's
He's dead.
is
Kasumi's is silly,
yours.
like Kasumi's.
Kasumi's is like run around and scan some freaking things.
Well, she's being invisible and pretending to like. Kasumi's got that like weird like, inappropriate like I'm watching you do sit-ups without your shirt on and you don't even know it. And I'm like, oh, that's nice, little inappropriate violation.
Samara's is quite good with her her other 2 daughters.
It is
at the.
And one of them dies because she gets not indoctrinated. Well, yeah, I guess kind of indoctrinated.
She's starting to turn into a banshee.
Oh, so messed up.
Ugh, I hate fighting the banshees.
Yeah, they suck.
But Samara's is good. I remember.
I like Jax. Jax is just really cute. Jax was one of the first ones I did. And I didn't realize this was going to be a thing. I just thought this was I didn't know. And then I realized eventually, they all have one. Okay, cool.
Fun fact, if you ignore Jax for more than a couple missions, you get there and everyone's dead.
That's right. I did read about that after the fact. I'm so glad I went there first because that would have tore me up.
To sit there and see Jack is basically like, cares about is responsible for training like the next generation of human biotics and cares about these young men and women and is basically, she's almost becoming like kind of Shepardish in a lot of her ways. Is very rewarding.
Yeah, they cut off her F-bomb. For no reason, because it's not like they're not going to use it later in the game, and they used it in the other games, but I just thought it was funny. She was going to tell someone to go F themselves, and it cuts them. Just the scene like it's a TV show or something.
Yeah.
And that's where you can see David, too, if you saved him and sent him to this exact same facility.
It helps resolve a little bit of a tense confrontation with some students that think you're with Cerberus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of them are nice, let's see. I mean, Garrus is really kind of just part of his role within the main game. Obviously, Rex's is the genophage. Miranda's is really tight in the game because it turns out her father is working with Cerberus to try to find a way to to reverse indoctrination and control the Reapers. Yeah, and she reveals that she had the ability or knew something about basically like a failsafe to like control Shepard. Like that was the original plan of the Elusive Man, even though he kept saying he didn't want to do that. Yep. Like she either fought against it or secretly did something to basically keep him who he was, which I think is a little too late at this point, especially for me because hers was one of the last ones I did before I did the party. And so I was like, okay, that's really not important anymore right now. But it was still fun. That one hurts too because when you, on that same theme, the final mission against Cerberus where, where you finally go find the Elusive Man's little space station. There are a couple terminals scattered throughout there. EDI keeps kind of pointing you towards them, and it's like they kind of tried to shoehorn in letting your Shepard finally have the reaction to, you've been brought back to life. Yeah, and but it's like this is a game too late, guys. Like I appreciate you tried to do this, but this is a game too late. And it's still not enough. Am I even really myself? Yeah, because it's too little crammed in, and too late. Yeah, it's dumb. Grunts is awesome. Grunts little, because it also ties into the Rachni Queen. The Rachni, which was like one of the earliest decisions you could have made in that game, was the Rachni Queen on Noveria, and finally comes off and can pay a dividend here in the third game. Except it doesn't. I was terrified because I saved the Rachni Queen in the first game, and then I was like, I gotta save her again, and Grunt's like, all right, but my team's gonna die. Yeah. And then he has his it appears to be like a valiant last stand moment, and I was like, did I just did I kill Grunt? Like, oh my god,
It was really sad.
Did I kill my? And he walks out, and I was like, oh thank god.
Apparently, he will die if he survives, but you didn't do his loyalty mission. But still survives the suicide mission and the second one, he will die in that, and he doesn't come back.
Oof.
That's why it's cut that way. It's very like he shouldn't. He comes back in a very Hollywood way, and it's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's very much like Arnold Schwarzenegger walking out of the battlefield. You know, like, oh, no one touched me. It hurts everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, moment.
This game, before I forget, this is where you find the dead Krogan, who you can then tell his Asari, partner that he's passed away.
That you helped like resolve their relationship in the second game.
And this game, it's not in your face. A lot of people are like, "Oh, the payoffs from 1 and 2 just don't exist in 3." That's not true. They are there. There's not as much as we'd like front and center, but there's so much side dialogue, and there's so many little letters that like reference a choice that you made either in this game or 2 games ago, or even just in 2. Like, it's all over the place. And if those choices matter to you, that'll mean something to you here. Like, if you're paying attention, they didn't completely abandon the idea of what they tried. Like, it was too ambitious in the end, but this game is just chock full of little, just pay attention. Go slow.
Yes.
Listen and read.
Listen to the background dialogue too.
Yep.
And even the stuff that's not like the like the human girl and the Turian and like the refugee area, and you go back and she's like, the first time she's like, yeah, my parents put me on a shuttle ahead of them. I'm sure they'll be here soon. And the Turian CSEC guy's like, yeah, sure. And you go back later on, and she's like, he's like, hey, have your parents showed up yet? And she's like, no, but I'm sure they'll be here soon.
I don't remember that
like,
one.
Okay, and so it's just like this grizzled like Turian CSEC guy. Basically, is like he knows her parents are dead, and she probably does too, but she's not admitting it, and he's kind of like starting to protect her more, and he's looking out for her. And it's just like, oh my god. Or there's a woman with like dementia who keeps like coming to the embassy asking about like her son, and you're like, oh my, like, so just it is a game worth taking your time and listening to every little thing going on in the background, because a lot of them are just heart wrenching.
For sure.
My blue Ilium Rose or something like that.
Yep.
For the Krogan and
my blue Rose of Ilium, I think is what it is.
Oh.
Yeah, and he dies.
He does. He's in the squad that got sent in ahead of Grunt's squad.
Mm-hmm. And there's so many, like, you blink and you'll miss it. You just didn't go down that little crack corridor and uncover the body and see it there and get the thing. And then the quest, and it's not even a quest. It is on your log. Oh my gosh. Mistake number 3. The quest log. What happened to it, Sean?
Sucks in 2 and 3. Oh my god, I hate it.
It's so bad. I thought 1's was bad. Nope. 3's is terrible.
And 1 you could at least like open it and see like little substeps. There's no opening in substeps, so you're like, okay, this has a quest summary, but I don't know what step I'm on now.
There's a few I just couldn't figure out and wasn't willing to look up because they weren't like super important. I was just like, oh well. Yeah. Sorry. There's like those like weird guys with the masks, the short guys. They're bankers and stuff. I was supposed to help one of them, and I just couldn't figure out how to do it. I was like, I don't know what you want me to do.
I helped him, and then it was Baron or Barlavon. I could never find him again. He was supposed to be somewhere in the Citadel.
That's what happened to me.
My map was like, he's here, and I was like, he's not there.
I wonder if it's bugged. Or if we waited too long, and then it shouldn't show him being there.
Yeah.
Whatever. But yeah, world's worst like journal quest thing of all time.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. Thank God for the wiki.
Mm-hmm. All right, Rannoch?
You want to do Rannoch? You want to do Thane?
Let's do Thane. Yeah, Thane can, because it's kind of the order I did it. So there's like a halfway point, right?
Yep.
And there's an attack on the Citadel.
Attacks the Citadel.
Here, go ahead. Take it away, because you'll remember more.
So real quick. We'll get to it. Yeah, so Cerberus attacks the Citadel, and you find out that Counselor Udina, that jerk who I didn't even allow to be Counselor, but somehow because Anderson's gone, he's Counselor again. Turns out he is on the side of Cerberus, and Cerberus is making a power play. They're coming in. They're going to wipe out the rest of the council, and they're going to take over the Citadel. And so they're going. You know that the Solarian counselor is away from the rest of them. So you're going to go save him, and you run into Kai Lang, which is this like the second time you've met Kai Lang?
I think we've heard of him. I think this is the first time we met him.
Kai Lang is definitely. We talked about the second game being edgier and kind of like.
Yeah,
Kai
Lang
he
sucks.
definitely he would have made more sense in the second game because he's supposed to be like Cerberus's new Shepard. He's a N7 washout, and so he's what they wanted Shepard to be, where he fully believes in the mission, but he's also this like anime weeaboo type character.
He's got like swords, katanas.
Yeah, he's kind of gray fox cybernetic ninja thing going on, and is in many ways rightfully so reviled by the community because you can easily kick his butt in any combat scene, but he has a cutscene plot armor where he repeatedly gets a one up on Shepard.
Yeah, too many times. I don't usually mind that, but it does happen too many times, and it's just stupid.
But so he's off to go kill. He's going to kill the Solarian counselor, and if Thane is still alive, Thane, who you've encountered a couple times, you've gotten to meet him in the hospital where
he's dying. He's in hospice basically.
Yeah, and he's made up with his son, but and he's done some things with his son. He talks about where he went to like New Mexico on Earth, and he tells you a bit about his time there. But he's done. He's on the last days of his life. Well, he shows up and basically fends off Kai Lang. But gets himself stabbed in the process. Doesn't die right there. But you'll go visit him, in the hospital after this. And his son is there. You and I both did the lower mission, so he's on good terms with his son. And he has a great, he basically, you're asked to pray with him one last time.
Yeah, this is very touching, intimate, because, like, they have a faith, and they talk about that. He talks about it a bunch in the second game. We don't have time to talk about that, but yeah, there's his son even has a little book, a Bible of sorts, whatever that equivalent is, and he has you say some words. I don't remember what they were, but
there's a great, as they're doing that last prayer. I don't how did this play out for male Shep? Because for Fem Shep, the pronoun changes on like the last little bit of the prayer of like, hey, it's like watch her and guide her, and and then at the end, Shepard's like, what's his son's name?
I forget,
like Kaltros or something like that, but that doesn't sound right. But his son, like you asked his son, like, why did he say her at the end? And it's like, oh, Commander, he wasn't praying for himself, he was praying for you.
Yeah, it's the same line, that last line. I don't remember. They must just record it slightly differently so that it makes sense. Yeah. But yeah, because he's done. He's like, the idea is that Thane's been good with himself. Whatever salvation he was looking for, he found it when he reunited with his son, reconciled with his son.
Yeah.
He didn't want to leave that loose end before he died, and so he's fine. He's just waiting it out basically, and he could do this one last thing for his good friend Commander Shepard, and boy did he. And Shepard's so mad. I'm so mad at Kai Lang. I hate Kai Lang.
Yeah. Makes that renegade interrupt later on all the more rewarding.
So good. I can't believe it's the renegade one. It should just be default. There should be no options.
So apparently the only part that's renegade about it is you break his sword. If you do nothing, your Shepard dodges, spins around, but the Omniblade comes out and still says like, this is for Thane, and it stabs him.
Nice.
The only difference is you shatter his sword with your elbow. Because I watched both. And my month after this game, where I just kept finding alternate scenes, and I wasn't ready to let go yet.
Oh, important. This that all happens after, but basically, Udina's, there's like a standoff of sorts.
Yeah, sorry, I was going to get to it. So,
okay.
Yeah, so you finish this, and then you catch up to Udina. But yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'd forgotten. And they're being protected by the Vermeer survivors. So Caden or Ashley, who at this point has been by Udina, has been turned into the second human Spectre. I'm guessing you didn't visit Ashley in the hospital.
I did.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did you visit her every time?
I guess maybe not.
There's like 2 or 3 times where they send you a message and then you can go visit them.
I tried to keep up on that as much as I could so I could go see all that stuff.
Because I was reading up about it, and that's apparently that's how you don't get the option to. You're unable to convince them, is if you don't go and have.
I didn't good interactions, dude. I did it on purpose.
Oh,
like she was still questioning my loyalty to humanity and like what my cause was, and I was done being second guessed by this chick who was pointing a gun at me, and so I shot her. I didn't think it was gonna kill her. but I shot her on purpose, and she died, and I was okay with it.
Yeah, so
and my Shepard was
that...
clearly okay with it. Like, no tears were mourned. Like, nobody cared, and that's, again, why these characters suck so much.
But yeah, so I mean, from your brief interaction, that's basically the sum of your brief interaction is then be like, oh, you're working with Cerberus now.
Yeah.
So you're not loyal to to the Alliance and humanity, and you're like, what, come on, like what did we do last game? And then you meet them again, pretty much right off, getting off Earth or on the Normandy. And then I remember you're on Mars and you kill the first of like the Cerberus, super power armored soldiers.
Edie's body.
You open their helmet. Well, no, the
right. No, I remember.
There's a point where you open the helmet and they've got all these cybernetics, and he's like, "Is this what they did to you?" And you're like, "Do I look like that?"
Right. It's like
come on, dude.
They just don't get it. It's stupid. I just don't, and I don't think they were going for. I don't think they wanted you to hate that character, but whatever they were trying to do just didn't work.
I had enough good interactions in the hospital that I spared Caden. Apparently, though, there's a version of this where one of your party members shoots them for you.
Interesting.
And apparently, if it's Liara, in particular, if Liara shoots Caden, she is very upset about having to have done it.
Oh, she doesn't care so much about Ashley. I understand, but
probably not. She comments that Caden was the other biotic on the ship, and he was always so nice to her when she first showed up, and blah blah blah. But all right, yeah. So you have this opportunity to either kill that party member or talk them down. If you talk them down, they are then they're like, hey, I wanna get back on the Normandy with you, and that's where I was like, nah, you're a Spectre now. Go do your own Spectre things. And then kind of like you said with Morden, they're like you get some readiness points out of them. They're worth 25 readiness points. But then they're gone. You can't even invite them to the Citadel party. That you don't get any of their interactions at the Citadel party.
That's weird.
They're just gone from the game. So I never had to see Caden again after that.
I wonder if Morden can be at the party. I don't think so.
I looked it up. He cannot.
Damn. That would have been so cool. We could have sang for everybody. All right, let's move this along.
All right. Rannoch. The conclusion. So you find out that the Quarians have decided to do it. They've gone back to their home system and they're attempting to fight the Geth. And boy, oh boy, is it not going well for them. And
now's the perfect time to do that with the Reapers coming and all.
Yeah, exactly. And the Admiralty are arguing amongst themselves because the one admiral that you basically are implied to like, the Cal something, who's in charge of basically all of the living ships. He didn't want to do it, but he agreed to do it. And so you end up doing some missions to reduce the Geth capability, but ultimately you go down there and you meet up with Legion. And you go on basically go into the Geth mainframe, the Geth matrix.
Yeah.
And you
that part was so dumb. I hated it.
I hate it, and I hated it too. Although it played into one of my justifications for me overlooking some of the ending. Hey, if this is when all the Quarians are on their planet, why do they have their helmets on? And he's like, well, Shepard Commander, you've never seen them without the helmets, and this is using your vision. And I was like, that's BS. You just didn't want to model what Quarians looked like with no helmets on. Right. You lazy jerks. But you ultimately get to the Reapers have kind of taken control of the Geth again.
Which is dumb because we spent the whole loyalty mission trying to undo that.
Yeah. And so you undo it, and Legion is like, I'm going to upload improved code, partial Reaper code that'll make us better, but stop us from getting controlled by the Reapers. And then he's like, oh, yeah, to finish this, I have to kill myself. Does this one have a soul? He's like, yeah, dude. All right.
Yeah, Legion.
Give me.
Yeah, you do.
Give me your readiness points. Let's finish this. Incidentally, holy crap, the Geth give you a ton of readiness points.
They sure do.
If I had to choose sides, it's very tempting to be like, sorry, Tali. Which, incidentally, if you side with the Geth and let them destroy the Quarians, she commits suicide and kills herself.
Whoa, that's pretty intense.
It's dark. I watched that cutscene and I was like, I will never, ever do that. Can't handle that.
I definitely got the best of both worlds. You can't literally get every last little bit, but you can get most of it. It's a similar thing on the for the Krogan. I don't remember what the choice is, but like you have to choose between not the Morden choice. That's a different one. I can't remember what it is.
No, this is the quest with like the son of the Primus. There's something there about disarming that bomb.
Yeah,
There's a choice there that plays out one way or the other.
Either way, there was peace between the Quarians and the Geth. Like,
yep.
And
yeah,
so I got all the Geth stuff and I got all the Quarian stuff, but of course Legion has to die for that to happen. That's the thing you lose in that particular thing. And I got an extra couple, like, I don't know what even call it a scene. Maybe it was a scene. I'd have to watch some other videos for people who don't romance Tali. But it's definitely like there's just a lot of language that's clear that we're together. And she weaves that into like the victory that we've won today and getting to see Rannoch. And obviously as someone who was invested in that character in that way, that was a big payoff for me and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she takes her helmet off and then you don't get to see her face.
Yeah.
So
and then she talks about making her house on Rannoch, which is very touching, especially if you subsequently take her on the final mission of the game. It's pretty.
I didn't. I should have done that. Maybe I'll load a save or something one day and take her with me.
Let's see here. Anything else about?
Was Rannoch hard for you? Did you have to like mull what you were gonna do?
No, I just kind of played through all the missions, and then I got there, and I was like, "Oh, I can save both of them. Cool."
Yeah.
and part of that was because I had Tali and I had Legion, and they were both loyal. So I think that pretty helpfully locks in Rannoch working out in my favor.
It does, and it like if I hadn't been romancing Tali, I might have just gone with the Geth just to make myself choose a side because I like at the end of the day I do enjoy the warm fuzzies of getting the best possible thing, but I would have really appreciated if they'd forced me to choose. Like you have to choose because these can't coexist in this way at this moment. You have to choose.
And it's weird because that you think about that. That's a huge thing for the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the galaxy is adamant that AI cannot be trusted. We cannot get along with AI, and you essentially, I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, a bit of a jump to say, but essentially you disprove that.
Mm-hmm.
But then at the end of the game, it's so much like, well, the Reapers will just happen again, because people will do the same thing, and you're like, I just disproved you, and it like
they mentioned
it's
that.
almost like they originally weren't gonna let you do they? I don't remember them mentioning it.
Pretty sure he does.
Yeah. Like it almost felt like originally they weren't gonna let you get the best of both worlds there with the Quarian and the Geth, because it just doesn't seem to match up with the narrative they were trying to say was a fact of the universe there with the ending.
Agreed. But I liked Legion.
I do like Legion. Shepard Commander. Anything like we're gonna talk I think a little bit about the Citadel just because it's super fun and the ending. Any other things you want to talk about Mass Effect, the rest of Mass Effect 3?
It's as just as a general thought as we get into the near the end of this anyway. I don't know if it's my favorite game, but it is the culmination, and it's hard to separate that away from the game itself. Everything that you've done this entire trilogy leads to this point, better or worse. And it's an awesome ride, and it pays off emotionally, if not necessarily intellectually.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people obviously, and we're going to have our complaints about the ending, to talk about the ending of the series being unfulfilling. I will always counter that with, this entire game is the ending, because so many arcs that have been built either from the first game onwards, or the second game, or even just things with some of the characters in the third game, they get conclusions here. They get wrapped up by and large, and it is extremely satisfying to wrap those up.
For sure. And
so it is a conclusion to the series, and it is part of the impact this game has. I don't want to. We're running long here, so let's talk about the Citadel DLC real quick, which was the last bit of content put out for Mass Effect 3. Very, very tongue in cheeky.
So silly.
Very, very silly. Very, very fan servicey.
Yeah, but in the best way.
And the best, like if all the games had been this way, it would have been bad, but for it to be just this DLC that is kind of the culminate, the ending of our time in this game.
It's a victory lap.
So perfect. It's so great.
You actually fight your clone. Somehow there was a second Shepard. So the ridiculousness of you being resurrected wasn't enough. They made 2 of you.
Yep.
And he got
But this
free
Shepard doesn't
somehow.
have your memories.
He doesn't have your memories. But he got free somehow, and he's mad. He's mad, and there's some other Cerberus undercover chick, and you go through all this investigation, chase, and hoopla, and you finally it's revealed, and I thought I knew what was going to happen, and then once it happened, I was like, this is the dumbest thing ever. I hate this. Like, I literally was like kind of upset, and then as it kept going, and the silliness just kept like you get the whole original crew back together for one last hurrah from Mass Effect 1. And I'm just like, nah, this is the best thing in my life. That's what this is.
I love. There's some choice lines, like just the we talk about the quips and the combat. Some of the ones I loved was the generic soldiers that Clone Shep has at one point are like, they have a Krogan. What? Why don't we have a Krogan? And then like at one point you're like Glyph, go find Clone Shepard, and it's like, okay. What does she look like? She looks like me. Then I have found her. No Glyph. A different one further away.
And we got a little bit of that in Shadow Broker. Shadow Broker still had like a bit of a like tension, serious tone to it at parts, but it was also very silly in the beginning of the DLC. And this one was more of that, but just all the way.
It was, like that mission was great. I definitely shot Brooks. I was done with Brooks by the end. I tried to save my clone.
I saved Brooks, and I tried to save the clone.
No, I shot Brooks. I threatened Brooks. She broke out. I shot her. It was great. I went and watched a video, because if she breaks out and you don't shoot her, your party shoots her.
Sure.
And I went and watched a video of the cut of every member of the party shooting her and then having a quippy one line. Yeah, and then the Citadel DLC brings with the Anderson gives you an apartment that he had, and you can basically just go and like hang out and spend time with your crew.
And it's awesome.
And they're all great. Trainer, who was your little like analysis, has a great one where she's playing space chess, for lack of a better term, and it gets very animated where they like it zooms in on them when they're talking.
Oh, that's really funny. Yeah.
I watched it. If you romance Trainer as FemShep, there's one of the things that she likes is that you have your own shower in your cabin, and so you're lying when you go to encourage her. It zooms in, and she's like, "Trainer, remember." My shower is only for winners.
That's funny.
Without a doubt, the best of them is Grunt. Grunt is hilarious.
Yeah, he gets arrested, picked up for like disorderly drunken conduct, and there's a slideshow of sorts of his antics. He's like hurt at the hospital. That's where it starts, and they bust him out. Yep. He falls past a window, and then he rams a ship into a noodle shop. Eats the noodles. So good.
Why did the foam not work you? Because I was on fire from the car, Shepard. Come on, keep up.
Like,
I love eventually you sign off everything, and he walks away, and I love Shepard's like, so how are those noodles? And he's like, a little spicy. And I don't know if your Shep said, but FemShep goes, I love you, Grunt. And it's just this great, like...
Yeah, he says that too.
Mom had to come out and come look after my...
Exactly. It's like, here's your little teenage boy. Just learned how to drive. He's got Krogan friends already, and they're getting him into trouble.
Yeah, it was just it was very clearly meant to be a send-off, to all these characters. And
because we don't get one. Like this was, at least as far as I understand, somewhat of a sorry we didn't make good on that part of it. Like, yeah, and we could do a whole other spoiler cast on what could have been and what should have been, what happened behind the scenes with some of the more pig-headed, arrogant leads behind these games. But some people had to fight to keep in what they did get in. Like as far as giving certain characters send-offs in the original version of the game. Especially near the end, like there's just nobody. Like there's just nothing. It's like you're okay. I'm on Earth and I'm not talking to anybody. There's no romantic send off to the person that you're in love with. It's just nothing. They're just kind of self obsessed with the dramaticness of the Shepard versus Reaper conflict.
Of the end here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so ultimately you can throw a party for all of the surviving crew members, past them, from all three games. And it's great. It's fun, and there's a lot of hilarious moments. Drunk grunt at the door and then in the shower is fantastic. What was it? I'm sad that Hanar can't wear sweaters. But I mean, yeah, the it's just Edie and Trainer being awkward because Trainer found Edie's voice sexy.
Yeah, it's hilarious. I love Edie. I haven't talked about Edie enough, but Edie's such a good character.
I felt a little forced upon by Edie, but she grew on me as a like party member. Like I always loved her as a person, as the AI and the personality. Her being in the body was a little like this is a little much.
I hated the immediate hand like and she's okay, all right. Well, I guess it happened early enough for me to get over it, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, as her personality, and the whole AI is great.
Right.
Did you see Tali make the Normandy noises?
I think so, yeah.
Where it's like she's like, yeah, so the Normandy one sounded like it's just mouth noises, and you're like, right, good for you, Tali.
Yeah, she gets drunk pretty easily.
She does. What's that? The emergency the emergency porch or something like that.
Yeah. That lets her like insert fluids.
Tali, that's a straw. Emergency port. But it's just a fun moment, and it's, you certainly want to leave it as late in the game as you can, but don't miss it. And it's nice. It's a nice way, and then it has that final scene. You wake up, and if you've got your loved one, you wake up with your loved one, and kind of see the aftermath of your party, right? And then you head back to the ship, and it's playing this very kind of somber piano music, and it's you and all the current crew there looking at the Normandy, and you have your, I think if it's either your romantic interest, or if you don't have one, it's Liara has this whole like it's been a hell of a run, and Shepard just has the best, and then you carry on and finish the game from there.
Yeah, and it was one of the last things I did. Because took me a while to get around. I was like, I need to make sure everybody's here, and I didn't have Miranda's. Miranda was kind of hard to pin down. She's like, there's a lot of intermediary.
She's the second to last Cerberus quest too.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. There's that gate that you have to get through, and so yeah, if you want everybody there, this will always happen near the end of the game. So it was definitely one of the last things I did, if not the last thing I did before I went off into my doom. So let's talk about our doom.
Our doom. So you finally you're going back to Earth, and so now it's everything you rallied, and we immediately get what is a very cool scene, especially if you've rallied a lot of fleets, of all of the fleets warping into the Sol system.
Yeah, it is cool.
with Admiral Hackett, and getting to see it's the Geth and the Turians and the Krogans and the Quarians and the Destiny Ascension if you saved it in the first game, and it's just
and the Crucible. The Crucible turns out the Citadel is the like huge other piece that we didn't realize.
Yeah. We need to hook the Crucible into the Citadel in order to make this thing work. So, and the Reapers have recaptured and moved the Citadel to Earth. And so epic space battle ensues. Although we seem to be doing very little damage to any Reapers, minus blowing off the arm of like one. And then we fight our way down to the ground, and we're going to meet up with Anderson, who's gathered all the remaining ground forces of Earth. And we got to make this final push to some portal that'll take us up to the Crucible, because we got to open the Citadel, because we got to open the Citadel so that we can hook the Crucible up to it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's fighting, and ultimately it turns out less forces make it down, and you're at the staging area, and here you get there's a room where you can go and you can call a bunch of your other companions who are elsewhere, I guess, in London, getting ready to fight. And those little hologram interactions are all kind of unfulfilling. But you can go and talk with all of your party members from Mass Effect 3. And I will say, Liara's is pretty cool, especially because I was romancing Liara, where she shows you the universe, like she lets you see the entirety of the universe.
Right.
And then Garrus's with the if this turns south and we both don't make it, I don't know if I don't know if humans and Turians share the same heaven, but if they do, I'll meet you at the bar. Is a pretty, and you can have a little paragon response of like, Garrus, if you make it and I don't, I'll be I'll be waiting for you. I'll be waiting for you, and it's been great, or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, beyond those two, it's there's not much, and then you go into the final fight, and there's having to defend things and fire some rockets to get past another little Reaper destroyer thing that's blocking the portal, and you blow it up, and then here we are. It's everyone make your way to the portal.
Isn't that Harbinger? Isn't that Harbinger?
Harbinger is the one who comes down and starts blowing up everything. And this annoyed me because Harbinger was the entity taking, the assuming control on all the collectors. So we had, for essentially face-to-face interactions with Harbinger throughout 2.
Sort of. We didn't actually know it was him until the very end.
But like he is someone that we have essentially talked to and have been like working directly against. And here he's a spaceship, and we don't like. It always upset me that we never really had like our little final interaction with Harbinger.
The Reaper. Did we talk to the Reapers once?
On the one that you blow up on Rannoch when you've wounded it, talks to you, and basically, it's very similar to Sovereigns of you are nothing and you can't win speech.
I remember that
that's it. It's always a little weird because like Cerberus is essentially indoctrinated at this point, so they're pawns of the Reapers. But it was always weird to me that for the Reapers are invading the galaxy, I never really quite felt like. I was always fighting Cerberus, and they're weird monster creatures that always kind of fell out of the blue to me.
Right.
But regardless, everyone's running towards the portal, and Harbinger's just blowing up everything. And here's where your readiness starts to take an impact, because if your readiness was too low when your 2 party members get wounded, they don't get wounded; they get incinerated by Harbinger. But they get wounded, and if your readiness is high enough, you can call down the Normandy to save them. And this is where, because I took Liara and Garrus with me for this, and Liara was my romantic interest, and you have like a final goodbye to her as you're basically forcing her to leave you and go on the Normandy. And these were added by the extended cut, and it is a gut punch. It's like because Shepard's like. No matter what happens, you mean everything to me, Liara, and you always will. And then she's like, Shepard, I love you, and then you run off. And then you don't make it to the portal. Like you get blasted,
blown up, yeah.
And then you wake up a while later, and your armor's basically is destroyed. You got a pistol, and you limp your way to the portal, and then things get kind of weird. Because Anderson is there.
Yeah, you take up to the portal. You walk through some like underside of the Citadel. He's on the comms all of a sudden.
And he's like, I came in right behind you, and you're like, dude, like I was limping towards the portal. There was nobody around me.
Yeah.
And then he gets to this like control station where you're going to open the Citadel before you, and the Elusive Man is there, and the Elusive Man is in full blown. But he's he's in full blown indoctrinated. He looks like Sarandid by the end, where he's all his eyes were always cybernetic, but he's cyberneticized at this point. And you have a conversation with them, and you can essentially you end up stopping. Apparently, if you've picked the correct decisions across all your interactions with the Elusive Man across, I think, the 3rd game, you can, much like Saren, make him realize he's indoctrinated and get him to shoot himself and kill himself.
I don't think I was able to do that. I can't remember.
I apparently did not pick all the right decisions, and so I shot him.
I think that's what I did too.
And then Anderson dies in a very has a I'm proud of you,
and just kind of goes to sleep.
And then goes to sleep and passes away. And then you've got you've opened up the Citadel at this point, and Hackett comes on and is like, nothing. Shepard's nothing's happening. And so I want to stop here because I think the problem BioWare did is they wanted to do something like unexpected and and big, and they didn't want to go with what maybe would have been just more mundane, but I think would have worked better. And I think I talked about earlier how throughout the entire game, there's always been this thread of are you humanity needs to dominate the galaxy, or humanity needs to needs to be a part and work with everyone else in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Anderson and the Elusive Man are the perfect thing here. I think you should have had the option of, nah, I'm going to side with the Elusive Man, who's maybe not indoctrinated, and we're going to control the Reapers, and we're going to use the Reapers to make mankind dominate the galaxy. Or you side with Anderson and no, we're going to do what we always intended to do, and we're going to blow up all the Reapers. And I think the decision should have been made between those two, and it should have been made in that little control room, and that should have been it.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, so like I said earlier, we could do a whole podcast on what happened behind the scenes. But as far as I understand it, the two lead writers, and I don't know how far to the end this is the case, but they wrote the ending by themselves and then allowed no one else to read it and weigh in on it. So what you had before was a team of people now shut out from two guys who got it into their heads that they knew exactly what they wanted to do and ended it that way. I don't know if that starts here. I don't know if it starts after when you run into the ghost child. It certainly happens at the very latest. It happens at the ghost child conversation.
Yeah.
But I think it might happen here as well. Because again, this is like you said, this is where things start to not make sense. The second he gets blown up and walks into the portal, nothing makes sense anymore.
Which has led to the whole indoctrination theory of Shepard's actually been indoctrinated for a significant portion of Mass Effect 3, and the dream sequences, because Shepard's been having these weird dreams.
I forgot mistake number 4. Stupid ghost boy dreams. What is that? What is the point of those? I don't understand
People
them.
think because in Mass Effect 1 it comments that indoctrination leads to like strange whispers, and because in those dream sequences there's all these strange whispers going on, they think that this is Shepard's mind trying to fend off indoctrination.
So the only purpose would be to show the player that is indeed what's happening.
But that's not BioWare has never said that the indoctrination theory is true.
Like, I can't understand. Like, this is very Inception of them. But with Inception, it's obvious. It's obvious you're supposed to make your own decision, but at the same time, it's pretty obvious what the actual thing is. With this one, it's still kind of up in the air, and they just won't say anything. I think that's so dumb. It's fine. Let people make their choice at the end, and then obviously you can say, well, what choice did you make? That's your ending. But, like, tell me what you wrote. Tell me what your intention was, because it's not up for interpretation. Just tell me what it means. Tell me what that's.
Tell me because Hackett is like, Shepard, the Crucible's not firing. You check the console, and you go to the console, and then like the platform just like magically raises up, and then you're in this weird area. The Crucible's above you, but there's like trees, and it's very strange. And then there's the child who is this AI. He's supposed to be the AI that basically created and essentially controls the Reapers, which is weird because Harbinger and Sovereign both seem to have been independent entities, and here it's like, nope, I'm the AI that controls them. I look like this child that's been haunting your dreams the entire game, and depending upon your level of readiness, and therefore the status that the Crucible arrived in, you get to pick one of 3 options.
4.
You get to pick there is the FU 4th option.
I accidentally did it. I was just playing around and I had to reload.
Did you shoot the child?
Yep.
Oh.
So yeah, you can shoot the kid after he waxes poetic. If you've ever seen the end of Matrix Reloaded, which is the second Matrix movie, it's very reminiscent of Neo talking to the architect. It's almost like it's hard not to make that parallel. It's almost the exact same kind of scene. Some guy, specifically an AI, because that's what it is in Matrix 2, it waxes about the burden of life and turmoil and fighting and peace and the cycle and blah 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 blah, and he basically says
the chaos of life will always lead to this
Yeah.
and we're trying to prevent life from destroying itself by destroying life, and
it's this out of nowhere thing, especially at launch, because they didn't have the Leviathan DLC, which sort of kind of retroactively explains the origin of the Reapers.
And helps it a little bit.
Yeah, but it's very like, it's like, well, where did God come from? Like you can just keep going all the way back until nothing exists, and then like you're always going to end up back there. So it kind of just doesn't matter. But what we have here is this goofy situation where we get to, for some reason, And this is where I don't think they meant to do the indoctrination thing. I think that was accidentally laid out, though. I think it was like they did accidentally put way too many clues that would imply that, or maybe at one point they thought they wanted to do that and they didn't take out the clues. Because none of this makes sense. Why is this thing giving you this ability? Why isn't it stopping you? None of it makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, it's like, well, you've built the Crucible, so now the old ways won't work anymore. And it's like,
why?
Why?
Haven't done anything yet.
You could still destroy us all, and nothing really changes, my dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just... And then, yeah, so obviously there's the shoot the child, and he gets angry, and then basically the Reapers finish killing everyone, and that's it.
Yeah, you lose.
But it's implied because Liara has this little like space box she sent out. It's implied that the next cycle did what you couldn't and somehow stop the Reapers.
Some people think this is the only true ending, is to just shoot the kid and let the next generation do it.
That sounds like someone who doesn't want to make a decision.
Maybe. Well, it's because they weigh all the other options, and none of them are good either. So it's like, well,
and that's that to me. We touched upon this. So Mass Effect 2 gave you that you could achieve a perfect ending in Mass Effect 2.
Right.
The problem here is every ending has issues with it in Mass Effect 3.
Yeah, but the problem is the main issues aren't the fact that there's consequences. The main issues is just like it's just not narratively satisfying.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is they have consequences, but they don't. But the consequences also don't. There's no good justification. It's just they had consequences because they said they had consequences.
They wanted to end with the universe being practically destroyed, and they didn't care how they got there.
Yeah.
So walk us through our options, Sean.
Yeah. So you have destroy, which will destroy all the Reapers. But it will also destroy all synthetic life, including the Geth and EDI. And it's implied that like it has a thing where it's like, well, you're part synthetic too with your implants, and it's like, so it may also wipe out basically all that type of technology,
as well as the Mass Effect relays and
which is in the original the pre-extended cut. It's implied that when you do destroy, like there's the Mass Effect relays blow up and it blows up all those systems.
Do they blow up, or they
undo that? They undo that in the regular cut. And that is no longer the case, and it's they're damaged, and then you see and the after effects of them basically fixing the Mass Effect relays.
Right.
That's destroy. It also has the special caveat that if you've maxed out your readiness bar, this is the only ending where Shepard lives at the end
for some reason, which makes it sound like the canon ending and the quote unquote correct one, and that's just rustles my jimmies so hard. I hate it. The
other option is control, where Shepard will sacrifice herself so that her memories and morals and all that, her consciousness will become a new AI that will control the Reapers, and then you will now control the Reapers. That one's interesting because the ending voiceover dialogue that you get varies, is either much more ominous and threatening if you had a lot of renegade points, or is much more like I will like help bring up all races and protect them. And is much more positive if you were a Paragon Shepard.
This is the one I chose.
I like this one, and I might almost think that one's, if I can headcanon it a little bit, I could almost see like you would do that. You would rebuild everything that the Reapers destroyed, and then you would like
shut yourself
down. Shut yourself down and blow up the Reapers, and it's the same. It all ends up ends well.
Right.
And then like the third option.
Sorry, keep going.
Go ahead.
Keep going. No, keep going.
The third option is synthesis, which is
magic.
We're gonna send out a thing that turns all organic life into synthetic life, basically. Like we're gonna make the
and
final,
vice versa though. They're gonna fuse synthetic and organic life in one fell swoop somehow.
And it's just like this one annoys the heck out of me because it's the one that outside of needing all the readiness to keep Shepard alive, it needs the most amount of readiness. And it has zero setup in the narrative of the three games. Thematically, Saren,
it does.
Saren talking about it in the first game.
Yeah, thematically, it makes sense. Like, this has been an underlying current throughout the story, which is how do we? I mean, it's why the Reapers exist in the first place. Like, how do we reconcile synthetic life and organic life? That's the problem. But the solution is just gobbledygook. It's so
power.
Yeah, the kind of power and nonsense that would need to exist in a world where that was even feasible. You don't have Reapers who are struggling to do what they're doing. Like it just doesn't make it. It's the worst choice. It's the worst choice.
And then from an actual, it just means that everyone has glowy green eyes. But they look the same otherwise.
Right. But I guess I get the implication is that like world peace has occurred. Maybe I don't even understand. Where did the Reapers go? They're all friends now with all because everybody's fine because the solution to the original question. It claimed that the Reapers, because they've saved the knowledge of all the cycles they've done, share their infinite knowledge with the world, and so blah 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 blah. Yeah,
I dislike synthesis. Of the three options, synthesis is the one that annoys me the most because it's like you said, it's gobbledygook. I don't think it's very well set up, and it's just so ham-fisted and hand-wavy.
Right. So you chose destroy, right?
I did, and I chose. I'll be honest. I chose destroy. Yeah, my Shepard is standing there, and like Child is having his monologue moment, and my Shepard's like, I'm nearly dead. I'm really tired. And all I did was to come here and destroy the Reapers. My Shepard's like, look, I came here for one thing. Gonna follow through. Let's do this.
Then you shoot it. And before when he showcases them, it shows off like there's colors involved too. Like one's red, one's blue.
Destroy's red and synthesis is green or blue, and control is I think yellow.
Yeah, it's like, but it's like it's supposed to. That's another thing where the whole indoctrination thing comes in. Like one's supposed to be like the Paragon, one's supposed to be the Renegade, except the Renegade in this case is the right one, and that's why it's like this whole like. I remember reading a lot of this stuff when the game first came out, as people tried to like,
drag a good ending out of this cluster.
Right. They were trying to protect themselves mentally from the thing that they just witnessed and watched. But I read this argument all the time about people who like say that it's destroy or shoot the kid, because they're kind of the same thing for the most part. Because eventually you presumably if you shoot the kid,
Michael wins.
The next group comes in 50,000 years later and destroys the Reapers. So at the end of the day, destroy is still the thing that happens. And they say that's the only way because no matter what, if there's any AI left anywhere, something bad's going to happen. But I'm like, an infinite number of possibilities. Somebody's going to make another AI, and the Reapers will be like. If you go down that rabbit hole, it's like the same thing. If you go backwards, well, where does God come from? And you just hit a point of infinity. And if what's that?
Good.
I was just going to say, if you do the same thing in the next direction, the Reapers will be reborn. There's nothing that can stop them, truly forever and all eternity.
That's why people, they cling to the, like, yes, but they point to the Quarian and Geth.
Right.
Hey, like, we made it work, which is one reason why I feel like maybe they shouldn't have actually given you the option to get both, that you should have had to have choose.
Yeah, maybe.
Because otherwise you're kind of like, well, it could work. But also it's like, okay, guys, like they've been peaceful with each other for like 5 days now. Let's not say this is going to last for the rest of eternity and work out for all the other AI too.
Right.
So I like, the more I thought about it, I do like control.
That's too silly. It's all silly. It's like, that's too much too. Like where he uses the Reapers to rebuild stuff. I'm like, nah, just send them away. Just send them away and turn them off or go dormant or something. Like, effectively, quote unquote, destroy them, but let me use the reasoning that I want to use, I guess.
Yeah.
But, like, I'm only thinking in terms of 50,000 years. I'm not thinking in terms of literally, like, 3 million years, because who can truly... Like, that's literally God levels of control. Like, you can't do anything on that scale. You can't do anything on 100 years, Like, anyone who says that... Like, it'll just happen again is right. It will happen again. Everything will happen again.
But, when your universe, exists on the scale of billions of years, it's like, look, all you can do is to fight for the things that are within your time scale.
Exactly. And so destroy's fine too. But control... Yeah,
destroy hurts. Like killing Geth, the Geth that I just made friends with, and Edie is like, ugh.
Right, control lets me do that, because supposedly I don't know that I'm going to live. I mean, I knew that I was going to live because I knew about that little ending. But I don't know I'm going to live. I think I'm going to die, so I might as well save the life that I've learned is life, as well as all the life I knew to be life,
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree with you too that if you take the Shepard lives and destroy, possibility out, I think a lot more people would probably lean towards control vice destroy.
I think so. I think people do still, for the most part. I think it's only like the people who still talk about the game to this day, who haven't just played it again, but who sit on Reddit and still talk about Mass Effect like 10 years later. They're like, no, destroy's the only way. I will die on this hill. It's a good ending though. Like it's a good screw you middle finger to that stupid ghost baby.
I will die on this hill to make sure that my Shepard gets to have a breath on that other hill.
Then you get that little like
as long as Ghost Baby loses in the end, that's all I care about.
Right, you get that little like epilogue from the person talking to the child like hundreds of years later.
Oh yeah, that's actually Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, did he? That's funny.
I think Buzz Aldrin is the one doing that dialogue at the end of like that's the story of the Shepard. Yep. Some massive amount of some huge amount of time in the future to the point where Shepard is like just this like barely remembered legend.
The thing is, like in the original, like you just have to wonder what they were thinking. Like again, it just sounds like it's like I want the universe to be destroyed. Isn't that cool? Isn't that dark and edgy? And so they that was their end, because it doesn't matter which one you choose, they all blow up. The relays blow up in all of them, and the Normandy barely escapes and crash lands on another planet. But like the civilization of this galaxy is done. Everyone's going to be back to like maybe living in their own solar systems if they're lucky.
Well, but they show those ending cutscenes. They show the relays.
I meant before they added that stuff that wasn't in there. Yeah. I'm talking about I was just talking about their original vision. Like they wanted this galaxy to be done, so they didn't have to come back and do any more story here.
Yeah. Yeah, they were there was definitely and I think you've read up more on it than I have. I haven't really read up on maybe some of the interviews and things that have come out of this. I played the game and for the most part let it lie, but it sounds like there were some definite issues in this and people being like, I want this even if it's not making sense.
Right. Great game though. 10 out of 10. Recommend it to anybody.
God, this game, I didn't play. I don't think I touched another video game with the exception of filming my weekly Final Fantasy VII for 2 weeks. 2 weeks after this, I just couldn't. I was just like, I can't do that to another game. And I was just like, I was a wreck. If I heard like any piano hit like 3 notes in a row, I was just like, no, oh my God.
I immediately went and beat another game later that night that could be beaten in a single.
You are emotionally stronger than I am.
No, I needed to. I was restless. It's like when you finish a book, like I was pacing literally around the house a little bit. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to do because I finished like around dinner time. It wasn't like at 11 p.m. and then I just went to bed. There was still a lot of day left and I was like, I don't know what to do with myself. So I needed to play something.
That's fair. Yeah, this is a few books have done this to me over the years. Mm-hmm. This and Baldur's Gate 2. And that's in part because of the saga. It took me just to beat that game. Mm-hmm. Some hardware hurdles are the only games where like it's those ones where like I finished it and then it's like I'm sad now. Like I have finished this great beast, and this one hurt the most. And I was thinking about it, and we talked about how good the characters are in this game.
So good,
and it just to finish the game, and it's like I just. Like those, it's like it's very close to the like, and those are friends, and I will never see them again, and I know I will never see them again, and it's just like, God, that hurts.
Some of them died, literally.
Yeah. So, yeah, this is I said this on a previous podcast. This is my GOAT. This is my greatest of all time. I don't think I would pick a certainly not a series of games that is better than this trilogy, even with the warts and the issues with the ending.
Oh, for sure.
It is
for sure.
It is such a good game.
And yeah, like I was wrong. I've been a naysayer. I guess we'll just simplify. I've been a Mass Effect naysayer for a long time. Clearly I was always open to it though. No one had to convince me to do this. I convinced myself of, hey, it's out. Like I need to see at least to the end. Why do people love this series so much? Because I never saw it in 1, and I only played a little bit of 2, but playing all 3 back to back, this is the definitive way to play.
Oh yeah, I'll be honest. I'm glad that you decided to get it. And obviously, you bought it on PlayStation, and I ended up getting it on my Series S. But I was gonna get it. I was like, no, I've played those games. I don't need to sink the time into these games. And you got it, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna go back and obviously I've had a heck of an experience and a more impactful experience playing this a second time or playing it this time than I did playing them originally. And I fully anticipate, much like every few years you'll return to a really good book, and I'll reread Tally and Revenant or whatnot. I fully anticipate sometime in the next year or two I will be like, all right, yeah, I'm gonna go play Mass Effect.
Sounds good.
And I'll run through it again. Do you want to talk about any thoughts about the teased fifth game in the Mass Effect series?
Nah.
Okay. All I will say is I hope I don't want more Shepard.
No.
Like as much as that pains me to say, like Shepard's story is done. I love this universe. Like I said it in the beginning. It is one of the most well fleshed out sci-fi universes, certainly in gaming, and I think in a lot of ways in storytelling. I want more of the Mass Effect universe. But like even with the the unfulfillingness of the Mass Effect 3 ending, let Shepard be done. We got our Citadel DLC, and yes, I will enjoy seeing like Liara, a matriarch Liara and a much older Grunt, but I don't need a game where it's like trying to get the entire crew back together. I don't want that because it would never work.
No, it wouldn't. And I'm more worried just from the game design standpoint than the story standpoint. Although Andromeda should make me scared of the story part too. But I'm just worried they're going to, because they tread a lot of ground for the first time with this series. They didn't necessarily invent a lot of, they weren't the first shooter, but like everything just kind of came together to make something new and special and unheard of. That's hard to do, especially when you have the legacy of doing it and people are going to expect it. And I'm worried that we're going to get some trashy AAA game. Not trashy, but like,
we're going to get Anthem.
It's going to be milquetoast. Yeah, it's going to be Anthem. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, you checked all the boxes and here's the it's like, but it's not going to have any soul. They're going to do it because they had to. Because EA told them to, or because the masses said it was finally time. But like these games were clearly born out of someone's a spark of creativity and passion, and it just happened to work out the way it did, and you can't force that.
No, I agree. Yeah, I mean, I love these games. I would love this universe again, but also I would be okay if we're done.
Yeah.
If we can be done with Mass Effect, and I would not feel cheated in any way.
Not at all.
Okay. Any final thoughts here?
Play this game, Jason.
Yeah, Jason, play this game. Get more than 3 hours into it. Yeah. Final shout out to the entire voice acting cast for these games.
So good.
From Mark Meir and Jennifer Hale as the Shepards to the smooth voice of Garrus and Tali and just everyone is phenomenal in this game, and it's definitely one of the things that makes this game and elevates it is how great the voice acting and the character portrayals are.
Absolutely.
All right. That's it. It's been a hell of a ride.
The best.
And with that, clearly there's only one way to take us out of this podcast.
I should go.
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 Yeah, maybe I'll change it up. Talk to you later. I mean, not that I ever do, but leave them wanting for more.